Hey, this is episode 210, and today we're chatting about the plan that I developed for the 5-day fast that I did in October. Now, if you've been following Healthful Pursuit for quite some time and you've been following the Keto Diet Podcast, you know that in the past I've said, be very careful about when you choose to fast. And if you have any hormone dysregulation issues or you're experiencing amenorrhea or you have a history of an eating disorder, I don't personally recommend fasting. I've been very open about this. I personally haven't done a long-term fast in a very long time. Like we're talking 2014 here. So today I want to chat about why I chose to do a fast, what was going on in my life, and why I thought it was a good idea, the plan that I made up, and then the plan that I ended up following, and why, if you're looking on doing a fast that incorporates nourishing practices, listen up. This isn't your average fast, because I could very easily make this episode very quick and just say, just drink water. You're welcome. See you on day 6. But I really wanted to get into the ins and outs of why I chose to fast, how you can decide if the fasting is right for you, and if a long-term fast is going to be beneficial for you, how you could maybe go about it so that you're not stressing about all the things. Now, if you are wanting more fasting resources and you like my approach to fasting, I'm going to include a bunch of different resources that I've already put together for you, all free things, starting off with the 12 tips for successful fasting. And then I've also done a couple podcast episodes, including episode 31, 94, and 122. So if you want to learn more about fasting from me and various guests, just scroll through the podcast episodes on whatever player you're listening to right now and check them out. So if you have questions about today's content, you can go to healthfulpursuit.com/contact and ask me. You can also catch up on previous podcast episodes. And if you're curious about any resources or links, you can also get that at ketodietpodcast.com. Okay, let's do this thing. Hey, I'm Leanne Vogel, and you're listening to the Keto Diet Podcast. I've put together a free 21-page guide on achieving weight loss on your keto diet if nothing is working. Grab your free guide at ketoforwomen.com to get the steps you need to overcome the hurdles standing in your way. Thanks so much for listening, and let's get started with the show. Cool. So as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the episode, I have not promoted fasting in the way that I'm about to for quite some time. When I went keto in 2014, I dabbled around with 24-hour fasts, 48-hour fasts. And, I've been trying to rack my brain. I don't know if I've done a long-term fast like this 5-day fast on keto ever. I was a huge proponent. If you go way back into the archives of Healthful Pursuit, you're going to see a lot of juice fasting where I would do full-on juice and water fasts for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. I even did a couple of 14-day juice fasts. And while juice fasts may really work for you, that's really awesome. I definitely got to a point where they were not working for me. So to be able to finally be in a healed space years and years after, to be able to do a fast with a healed body and know that my hormones wouldn't be effective as much as they were when I was doing fasting at the very beginning of my journey was quite awesome. Now you might be wondering, why would one want to do a 5-day fast? And what signs should I look for to know that I need to do a fast? I'm going to get to all of that. In addition, I'm also going to be explaining the daily plan that I followed, because originally I was just going to drink bone broth and water. That was the plan. And then I got into day 2. I was like, this is not going to work. I need to change things up. So I'm going to be talking about why I chose to change things up, how you can change things up, what to look for, all the things. But let's start off with why. Why did I choose to do a fast? Okay, rewinding back to October, going through a stressful time, I was finding anything that I ate was making me bloated. I was dealing with a lot of belly pain, acid reflux. I just wasn't feeling great. And looking back, I was definitely overeating because I was dealing with a lot of emotional things and I wasn't choosing the best foods. Sure, they were quote unquote keto, and we've chatted about this so many times before. Just because a food is keto doesn't mean that it's great for your body. I was eating a lot of nuts and seeds, nut butters, things that I know my body just doesn't like in large quantities. So the acid reflux was a big thing. And also I was feeling like my relationship to food was getting a little bit beyond me. Like I was thinking about food a lot. I was looking forward to eating, and I wasn't really searching for happiness, fulfillment, or contentment outside of food. And anytime this happens, I really have to look at the relationship I have with my body and with food. And I definitely realized like I was giving food too high a priority on my list of awesome things to look forward to. And it's a fine line. If you have a history of an eating disorder like I do, to be able to have experienced rather an eating disorder like anorexia, to then be excited about eating is a really interesting space to be in, because I used to be terrified of eating. So that's really cool. But in a space of bulimia where it kind of competes, at least for me, of when I was excited about food, I then looked at food as a restriction and then would eat food, feel guilty, and throw it up. So I'm kind of like not always dancing between these things, but when stress happens in my life, it has been a crazy couple of months. I am recording this episode mid-November. I'm hoping that things are going to get better soon, because it's been like 9 months of just feeling like I'm getting hit from all angles, and I am having a hard time breathing and living. So, when things get like that, it's very easy to default to old eating behaviors. And I've been so proud of myself, although I do feel like my tendencies have increased. And yeah, we'll get to fasting in a sec. I just really want to preface like relationship to food stuff, because I feel like if you are listening to this episode and you're being called to fast, you really need to check in with yourself and ask yourself, why am I doing this? If it's to lose weight, this is not the right episode for you. If it's to erase food choices that you've made over the last XYZ months, this is not the episode for you. I chose to incorporate this 5-day fast into my life. I have been in remission from an eating disorder for the last 2 years. And I felt like it was the right time for me, based on the fact that the relationship to food and how I was approaching food was getting a little bit too excited. And I was dealing with a lot of pain. And the only way I knew how to stop the pain was to pause eating. So if you have a disordered relationship with food, or you think that you still do, please, there are other ways that you can do this. Many of my podcast episodes outline this. So I was dealing with a lot of bloating and pain and acid reflux due to all the foods that I knew that I shouldn't be eating, because they didn't make me feel good. And I knew the only way to stop the pain as quickly as possible was to stop eating. Okay, so I chose a very specific time to do this, which was right before my period. I started this process directly after ovulation. So I consider my own ovulation. Now, this is through tracking and watching all my symptoms for many, 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 many months. In fact, I would say about the last 2 years, I've gotten really, really good with tracking my cycle. From day 13 to 21, I would say that that's completely off limits for my fasting. So I chose day 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. Now, that worked really well for me directly before my period, because I knew that the next couple of days, and my period was late by 3 days, probably because of my fasting. So I knew that I'd have anywhere between 3 to 7 days to start eating whole foods again and start incorporating more carbohydrates so I could prepare for my period. So if you are still menstruating and you're looking to fast, I find directly before your period, to give you some wiggle room right after ovulation, is like the perfect time to do it. Now you might be like, right after ovulation, Leanne, that is not day 21. For me, my ovulatory process kind of starts on day 12. It's like pre-ovulation, like I'm just getting ready. My body's getting ready. By about day 19, I'm done. But day 19, 20, 21 is this transitional phase where I don't like to mess around with too much. And I'm still riding the high of happiness, superwoman glow. If all of this period stuff is really interesting for you and you want to go even deeper with me, I'll include a link in today's show notes for the Empowered Woman Workshop. You can find out more by going to healthfulpursuit.com/workshop2. And in there, I show you how to work with your cycle, understand your cycle so that you can start to adjust your lifestyle to match your cycle, because it really is a powerful thing that you can match yourself with, because it's happening whether you like it or not. And aligning yourself with your period, aligning yourself with ovulation and your cycle, your energy cycles, is a very powerful thing. So I chose to do it right before my period, which is definitely the best time, at least for me. And it felt like such a perfect opportunity to give this strategy a try. Now, had I been in recovery from amenorrhea for a year, I wouldn't have fasted. And that's why from the time I got my first period back in 2015 to now, we're talking a good amount, like 4 solid years before I even attempted a long-term fast like this. And even in perfectly balanced hormone status, I still delayed my period by doing this, by fasting for 5 days. I did not have food. I'm going to explain what I ate in just a sec, or what I enjoyed, I guess you could say. Yeah, I'm still late. In fact, I have my little cycle journal right here. I'm going to check because I can't remember how late I was, but I remember thinking, yeah, duh. Yeah, I got my cycle on day 31. Generally, I get it on day 28. So there you have it. I had a couple extra days to incorporate more food, but it is very, very, very rare that I go beyond 28, 29 days. So I would say that it's very much a contributing factor. Today's episode continues after this short message from one of my sponsors who make the show possible, plus give you some great deals on my favorite things. CBD oil. I'm sure you've heard of it, and maybe you're a bit overwhelmed by the options and are concerned it'll get you high. My family has been supplementing with CBD oil for the last 2 years, and I'm impressed with the results. And no, we don't get high on this stuff, and neither will you. Why do we use CBD oil? It's a powerful anti-inflammatory, reducing joint issues, inflammatory acne, and gut distress. Eaton Hemp makes the highest possible quality CBD oil, are transparent in their production processes, and are one of the first USDA certified organic and blockchained CBD products, ensuring all you're getting in your oil is CBD, not pesticides. Eaton Hemp uses hemp seed oil as a carrier for their CBD, which ensures higher potency, effectiveness, terpenes, and cannabinoids, all good things. A special podcast only offer. Go to eatonhemp.com/keto diet. Use the code Keto Diet for 20% off all Eaton Hemp CBD products. Unsure of the link? Check out today's show notes. So day 1, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, fasting day. I wouldn't recommend planning a lunch date on day 1 of your fast. This had been planned many days in advance. So I went for a lunch date to Chili's, one of my most favorite restaurants. Don't judge me, okay? It is like, their fries are so tasty. And yes, they fried in all the inflammatory oils, and their ribs are just delicious. So I went there and was hungry. Day 1 of a fast, you're going to be hungry. If anyone says that they're not hungry on day 1 of a fast, they're basically an elf or a fairy or something. I don't even know how they do it. So I was very, very hungry. I just kept drinking water. This was the very first fast because it's been so long. This product was not out when I used to fast. I used Peak Tea fasting tea. Now, I really like the cinnamon flavor because it doesn't have caffeine, and I definitely did not want to incorporate caffeine on day 1 of my fast. So I had water, Peak Tea. I probably had about 6 packets on day 1, and bone broth. I was pretty shaky in yoga, so I chose to do a gentle and yin only class. Now, I had planned this before. Like, day 1 is that transitionary day where your body's like, okay, I should have had lunch, but I didn't. What's happening? So I knew that I was going to feel a little bit off, so I chose to do a more gentle workout. I highly recommend that for you too, but to each their own. And I felt very sensitive to sounds and light. Now, I am a very sensitive person. It doesn't take much for me, but if you are a highly sensitive person like me, you might find that you're sensitive to sound and light. So the reason I chose to do the fast at this very moment in my cycle is because fasting, I find, is such a drawn in energy where you are naturally just wanting to draw in on yourself during days 21 to 28 or 29 or 30 of your cycle. And so fasting plus that, it's very common to just want to draw in, and you become sensitive to light and sounds. And so it was a perfect match of energy. Whereas I wouldn't recommend doing a fast on days I don't know, about 10 to 15, especially because you're ovulating. You want to be out there. You want to go dancing with your girlfriends. You want to like go for a hike and do these things. You don't want to be fasting during that time. So I found that I was very sensitive to sounds and light, and adding essential oil blends to my water really helped settle my stomach. I used the Digest blend from doTERRA. I will include a link in the show notes if you're not familiar with this blend. I think it's called Digest Zen. I don't know. It's blue. I love it. I've used it forever. And I just add a drop to water when I just need to settle my stomach. And this is coming from a space where I'd been constipated for many days. I was dealing with acid reflux. There was a lot of stuff going on. So I just wanted to settle my stomach, and that worked really well. So again, it was water, peak tea, bone broth, adding essential oil to water. Now you can do hot water, cold water. I meditated a whole bunch that day and all was good. We're going to get to day 2 in just one second. I just want to let you guys know this is the very first announcement, and I completely forgot to share this with you. I'm starting a new podcast. Now, that doesn't mean the Keto Diet Podcast is going to go away. I'm going to keep rocking this show until you make me get off the stage. But I wanted to start a new podcast to chat about a lot of the stuff that I've been working through personally. I know that the Keto Diet Podcast is probably not the best place to share information about crystals and meditation and healing and love. So I've started a new show called Love Rebel. You can search for it in your favorite podcast player. New episodes are coming at you in 2020. So you can subscribe today so you don't miss the upcoming episodes. My intention for Love Rebel is to share different ways on how to love yourself, love others, and see love in everyday experiences. So again, you can find more by searching for Love Rebel. There's an episode up there right now. You can listen to it. Let me know what you think, and there'll be more coming in 2020. Okay, day 2. Now, at day 2, I was following the protocol for day 1, water, peak tea, bone broth. I added some activated charcoal lemonade and salt as I got shakier. So I was dealing with some shakiness, and this is quite normal for me when I do fast. I thought for sure this wouldn't be a problem because it had been so long, but yep. Sure enough, started getting shaky. So the activated charcoal definitely helped settle my stomach because I was dealing with digestive issues. And the salt helped me deal with my electrolyte balance. So I added that into the mix. Now, if you're wondering how, it's basically 3 capsules of activated charcoal. I just break them open, add them to my Yeti water bottle, add probably a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a bunch of fresh lemon juice. Like the more fresh lemon juice, the better. My mouth is like puckering up and now I have saliva dripping everywhere. It's so good. And then in the evening, I added juiced watercress. Okay, so if you have a juicer, you can juice it yourself, or you can just go to Whole Foods, grab some watercress. They have a bunch of different types of mixtures. Now, I chose watercress because it's very stimulating to help with cleansing, and I was just being called to add it. I'm a very intuitive human, and I feel like that's why I do what I do, is so that I can teach you all the things that I'm learning about my body, and maybe it will resonate with you too. So the juice I chose to go with was a watercress, celery, cucumber, parsley juice. That's all that was in there. It really helped with my energy. It helped. I had a really bad headache, probably because I didn't supplement with salt on day 1 as much as I should have. Definitely learn from my mistake, please. And then in the evening, to really get my gut going, I added Epsom salts with hydrogen peroxide to my bath. Now you can look up the ratio online so you don't burn your skin. I don't even know if that will happen, but I basically put like half a bag of magnesium into the bath, the Epsom salts rather. And then I don't know, like a 1/4 cup. And we had a really, really big bath in the rental house we were staying in. So I added a 1/4 cup of hydrogen peroxide, and that just allows for the magnesium to be more readily absorbed into your body. Now, this will make you very, very, very sleepy and always gives me the best bowel movements. So be mindful of that. Okay, so let's reiterate. Day 1, my mistake was not adding enough salt. So please do that. I was drinking water, peak tea, and bone broth. Okay, very sensitive to sounds and light. I added an essential oil blend, which I will add to the show notes. And then day 2, I added watercress juice. This is an option. I really enjoy adding it to my cleanses. Activated charcoal lemonade with salt as I got shakier. And this won't be a problem for you if you supplement with electrolytes, which I don't know. I've been doing this so long. You'd think I'd learn from my mistakes, but clearly not. Magnesium bath is always a good idea. Always, but especially helpful when you're cleansing. Okay, and then on day 3, I did everything from day 1 and 2. Okay, so we have the water, peak tea, bone broth, lots of liquids, essential oil blend in my water, watercress juice in the afternoon, activated charcoal lemonade. Now make sure when you're doing the charcoal lemonade that you are not consuming it around other liquids. Give yourself a couple of hours just to process it. So on day 3, I did all those things, but I also added a probiotic supplement. I have been loving the new Inner Eco sparkling Kavita type of water situation. Look it up. I'm not being paid to say this. In fact, this company is like completely non-responsive to me wanting to work with them, which is such a bummer because they're so amazing. But if you just Google Inner Eco, see if it's at your store or with you locally. I don't even know if you can order it online. It's basically water kefir that's unflavored, unsweetened, just plain old kefir. You could make your own, but that takes way too long for me anyway. So I just added that into the mix. I drank a lot more water on day 3 just because I was not feeling dehydrated, but just like thirsty. Like I just wanted to drink a whole bunch. And that's how I knew that my digestive issues were getting a little bit better. Again, I did the charcoal lemonade. And then another piece that I added was self-massage on the gut. So as my belly started to be less bloated and less painful, like it was painful to the touch. Oh my goodness. I really got to stop eating so many nuts and seeds, which I'm working on. I grabbed some coconut oil and I just rubbed my gut. So starting on the right side of your gut and moving up towards your belly and then down again. I guess this would be in a clockwise direction if you're looking down at your belly, just going in a clockwise direction. Oh, and just getting all the massage in there. You can add some essential oils into the mix if you'd like, and can be really helpful, that self-massage. So that was day 3. I hope you're really enjoying today's episode. I'd love to see where you're listening from. Snap a pic and tag me at Healthful Pursuit or leave a review for the show on your favorite podcast player. It helps me out tremendously. Okay, back to the good stuff. Now on to day 4 plan. Now I'm going to share the day 4 plan with you after I tell you about our Cyber Body campaign. Have you heard about this? Oh my gosh, today is the last day that you can get 40% off any membership level of my 12-week video training program, Happy Keto Body. Go to happyketobody.com, use the coupon code CYBERBODY, and get 40% off any of the levels. Now you can also use this coupon code if you are a lifetime member or a 14-week member and you want to upgrade to VIP. So go on, use that coupon code. You have until tonight, that's Sunday, December 1st at 11:59 p.m. Pacific, to take advantage of this 40% off special. Again, it's Cyber Body, all in caps, for 40% off at happyketobody.com. And then starting today, also, I'm doing a 40% off sale for my balanced keto meal plans. It goes until the 5th. And when you get the 1-year plan, you're also going to get a free copy of my keto holiday cookbook. So if you go to healthfulpursuit.com/balancedketo, you can use the coupon code CYBERMEALS to get 40% off until December 5th. And if you're like, Leanne, you're being so generous. I know. But actually, it's our Cyber celebration, Cyber Week celebration. And this time I'm kind of like phasing it. So Cyber Body again ends tonight at 11:59 p.m. Pacific. Go to happyketobody.com to take advantage of that. And from today until the 5th, you can use the coupon code CYBERMEALS to get 40% off my keto meal plans. And when you get the 1-year meal plan, you also get a copy of my keto holiday cookbook. Okay, day 4 plan. I started incorporating a little bit of caffeine on day 4 in the form of white tea just a touch of caffeine. You could also use peak tea for this. Their fasting protocols have a little bit of caffeine if you want to add that. I just find like come the end of the fast, like we're talking, I only have 2 more days left. My energy is starting to build. I really want to get high on this energy. A little touch of caffeine is really helpful. Now, I started having really awesome bowel movements on day 4, so I didn't change any of the protocol. So the big ones, again, I'm going to repeat. The peak tea, fasting tea, and I was not paid to talk about peak tea. I just really, really like them. Drinking a lot of water, the bone broth, add the salt. Essential oil blends to your water can be helpful too. I added a watercress juice in the evening, activated charcoal lemonade. You see the pattern here? Yeah. I gave myself a self massage on day 4 all over my body, got myself all filled with oil. It felt super luxurious and very feminine. I highly recommend that every human being do this. And then on day 5, I switched back to water and essential oils only. So it was just water and essential oil blend that digests Zen. I also incorporated some of the Zendocrine mixture. It's a detoxification blend of tangerine peel, rosemary leaf, geranium plant, juniper berry, and cilantro. Just 1 drop in my entire water bottle for the day. Yeah. And that was the fast I did. I was actually pretty proud of myself for doing it, but also it felt completely natural and it was unlike any other fast because it just wasn't hard. And I really, really feel like it's because I was totally meant to do a fast and it was just this natural thing. I wasn't pushing myself to do things. I was adjusting my plan as I went. And that's what a key thing is. Okay. So if you're like, oh my gosh, Leanne just did this bone broth liquid fast thing. I want to do this with her. This sounds so great. I want to do what she did. You might get to day 3 and it just might be different for you. And it's so important that you listen to your body. And I want you to feel empowered to adjust things as you need. And that's totally okay. So after day 5, I woke up on day 6. I was like, maybe I could do 6 days. And I'm like, no, Leanne, your period is coming. You need a couple days to start eating again before your period comes. Otherwise, it's going to be a hot mess. So how I came off the fast. For day 1, I did smoothies and soups. I used a ton of collagen. Like I loaded up the collagen. I probably had 8 scoops of collagen and 4 scoops of gelatin. Like I just did it. Smoothies, bone broth, soup, a little bit of fat. I didn't incorporate a ton of fat. I would say it was probably 30 grams overall for the day because I just wanted to be really, really gentle with myself. And we're not talking like a lot of food. Like when you fasted for 5 days, the last thing you want to do is like pound a cheeseburger or even like pound a big bowl of anything. Nah, it was just breakfast, lunch, dinner. I started off with some bone broth blended with more gelatin, blended with some, it was cauliflower. Yeah. Now, if you're sensitive to things like cauliflower, broccoli, I wouldn't recommend that that's your first thing. Otherwise, you're going to get really gassy and then be pissed. So just listen to your body, understand what foods you're sensitive to and move forward. On day 2, I started incorporating a little bit of solid foods. I had salads and fish on day 2. And then on day 3 after the fast, I just went back to regular eating, still keeping up with my bone broth daily. So this was like a big deal. After my fast, now it's been, I would say, a month and a couple of days since my fast, I have been religiously enjoying bone broth every morning before I eat. And that is so huge and has been so helpful for my belly. And I've kept up with that. And that is just so great. Now, like I said, it's been about a month and a bit since I did this fast. I could see myself maybe doing this again if I experience any digestive issues. It was really, really helpful for that. And it hasn't gotten bad because I haven't been eating nuts and seeds and all the things that I know hurt my belly. I was also indulging in a lot of chickpeas, which I know hurt my belly if I eat too many of them. So like, duh. But again, it's a great tool in my toolkit. Will I do it every month? No, because it delayed my period. And in fact, the first day of my period was quite horrible. Like it wasn't great. And my moods have been a tiny bit off. Now, I don't know if that's because of the fast, but it's really the only thing I changed. But it's hard to tell. Like life happens and you never know. Was it this? Was it that? Was it the other thing? But I did notice day 1 wasn't all that pleasant. Like at all. I was in more pain. I had a headache. I didn't want to be around people. So I think maybe perhaps if I were to do this again, I'd try to just do 3 days and just start with the charcoal earlier and see if that makes any difference. And I think if I were to do this again, I would incorporate CBD oil into it because I stopped my CBD oil practice during the fast. And I probably shouldn't have done that because I noticed that I didn't feel as good. And I noticed quite quickly. So if you are supplementing with CBD oil and you're like, should I incorporate this into my fast or not? I wish I would have. So if you're kind of on the fence about that, you have 2 thumbs up from me. Yeah, so I hope that me sharing my experience was really helpful. Overall, it was a great experience. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I gave myself years and years and years to heal my body to a place where I could do something like this, where I wasn't a whole mess and I didn't completely react. Now, I still reacted a touch, but it was nothing like it would have been a couple of years ago when I was still healing from amenorrhea and imbalanced hormones. It was relatively great. My digestion is very thankful. And if you try something like this, let me know what you think. Let me know how you reacted to it, what your results have been. You can just catch me on Instagram. Just tag me in a post that you create. I'd love to hear how your experience has been. Next up on the podcast, Wednesday, December 4th, episode 211, we have Daniel Schooloff coming on the show to talk about dogs on keto. Oh, it's a good one. Our dogs have been off and on keto for quite some time. Pebbles was just diagnosed with a pretty intense heart condition. So she's on like a very strict keto now. I was quite lenient with her and maybe I shouldn't have been, but I mean, dogs got to live their lives too. But Daniel shares a lot of great information about how to take care of your animals, how to feed your dogs properly. And as a mama of 3, I can understand how important this is for many of us. Now, on Sunday, December 8th, episode 212, we have Sarah Clark chatting about fertility issues and healing. Ooh, this episode's good. So I will see you then, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Keto Diet Podcast. Join us again in a couple of days to discover more Keto for Women secrets for your fat-fueled life. The Keto Diet Podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor should it be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Keto Diet Podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representations or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified physician for medical advice and always seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.